research and analysis.
All right, good. So good evening. My name is Mariam Yahya, as you all know, and I'll be taking today's session on user research and analysis. Um, just give me a minute. I'm coming. Sorry, hold on a bit. Just give me 2 minutes. And I'm back. Sorry for the delay. So, as I said, I'll be taking us through I'm taking us through user research and analysis today. So, um, can you all hear me properly?
Yes,
So, can you see the slideshow? Like, can you see what I'm showing right now? The screen I'm showing right now.
Yes, I can.
All right. So, what is user research? Basically, it's a structured way to study and understand people, as I said, I'll be using your product, the product that you're designing. Um, it's majorly, trying to learn about what they're thinking, their needs, their motivations, and challenges before you actually start designing, so that you're able to like understand what you're working for them, and like you're not just working based on what you think is. Sorry, someone is unmuted. Can you please mute? So as I was saying, rather than making assumptions, guessing that okay, this is what they need, you're able to work with facts. So an example is maybe you're working on let me say, working on a mobile app for selling goods. You see, you you have to apply user researches, like going to the market yourself, talking to traders, understanding their pain points. You want to understand what their challenges are. Maybe they have an issue with haggling, or there is an issue with maybe reaching customers that are outside their present location. So like that's basically what user research is. You're able to like learn more about the people that are going to use your product. And why does user research matter? So as I've said, it helps you, you build user-centered designs, and then it reduces guesswork and assumptions. It improves the usability of and satisfaction of product you're designing, because you now know what the user needs. So you're able to put that into consideration when you're working on that product. And then it saves time and money by avoiding costly mistakes. So rather than finding out much later, after like development, you finish designing, the engineers have worked on it, rather than finding out that okay, this thing that we have worked on is not really what the users need, and then going to start all over again. You're able to like gather that information upfront before going into your design and development. So you're able to address those issues early on. So next you have the research methods, basically how you gather insights. You have two major research methods. You have the qualitative, and then we have the quantitative. Sorry, this is supposed to be quantitative, not qualitative. I'll change that up. So for qualitative, you're basically um exploring why. You're basically exploring why people do these things. And for qualitative, you're measuring the what. So let's say there are different ways. Obviously, I've said we have qualitative, and then we have, let me quickly, I don't know if I can quickly change this so I don't forget. Please give me a second. This one, this one. Yeah. Sorry. Please hold on a minute. I don't know my screen. And it's not too bad. It's very slow. I'm coming. Let me try sharing. I don't want to leave the meeting, but I might have to. Let me try sharing again. Can you see my screen? Sorry for this one. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I
Okay.
can see yours.
All right. So as I was saying, qualitative method of user research is basically trying to find out why the user acts the way they behave. And we have a couple of qualitative methods, which include interviews, usability testing, and focus groups. So for interview sessions, basically, they're one-on-one conversations um to understand what the user wants. Yeah, so you during these interview sessions, you ask open-ended questions to basically dig deep into the user's perspectives. Let's say, for instance, you're designing a fintech app. You might want to, maybe interview small business owners to understand the issues they've been having with maybe, let's say, existing, or should I use this? Okay, with banking services, basically, like you know, a lot of business owners make use of, they make use of money points. So you want to maybe interview them to find out, okay, you've been using several fintech apps right now. So like, what are the issues you have when you're using this particular app? So these are the kind ask them intuitive questions, open-ended questions, basically, not yes or no questions. Ask them questions that make you understand better their pain points, how they feel about a certain feature, and just important questions like that. Then for usability testing, it basically involves observing users as they complete certain tasks. So an example would be here to ask the users to try out maybe a website based on what you're working on. Let's say, as I said, we made use of fintech apps. So now okay, look at this particular app. I want to see how you navigate through it. How do you complete certain tasks? How do you send money? How do you add money to your account? How easy it is for them to complete this task. So you observe all that when they're using it, when they're using that app. You find out where they get stuck, where it was easy for them. So you're able to infuse that into your own designs. Then next we have focus groups. So you bring it you bring together, a group of people, you have a group discussions with them, and then you're able to get varying opinions on different questions that I ask. So this is, it's useful in cases where you're trying to, you know, understand how, like, to gain, let's say, a better understanding, or let's say a more general understanding of a particular, like the particular topic you're trying to learn about at that particular time. So we have interviews a bit test and focus group. So for quantitative methods, it focuses on numbers and measurable data, as I've said. And then we have surveys, analytics, A/B testing. So for surveys, basically allows you to collect data from a large audience quickly. I'm sure all of us at some point in time have filled in surveys, or probably sent out surveys maybe during your final year project, when you do something. Understand how useful it might be, rather than sitting down one on one talking to them. We're able to collect large amount of information at a time. They have analytics tools, using tools like Google Analytics to track user behavior. Like let's say you already have a product up and running, they're able to use Google Analytics to track how users complete certain tasks. The sorry, like, okay, how many people visit this page, how long did they stay here. Okay, from there you might be able to say, okay, maybe they got stuck on this page. Okay, they didn't spend a lot of time before completing this particular task. So like, even Google Analytics could also be help in gaining such insights. Then A/B testing basically is maybe comparing two or more versions, actually, not necessarily just two, could be two or more versions, of a design, to see which one performs better. You have different groups, you have group one, group two. You give them this version of the design, and you give the other group, give group A another version of the design, and tell them to test it out. Then you're able to um see how easy it was for one group to complete certain tasks compared to another group, and like, it gives better insights as well, rather than just having one particular design. You have two that you can test with, and you're able to get better information to see which one checks out. An example for A/B testing would be maybe putting a button at the top of a design, and then put another one at the very end, and then trying to see, okay, how easy was it for group A to find the button on top, or how long did it take group A, how long did it take group B to find their respective buttons, so something like that. Then If you have to conduct how to conduct user research. So firstly, you have to be clear and specific on your goal, like your research objective. Like this is what you want to, you know, this is exactly what you want to achieve by carrying out this research. So as I put an example here, you want to understand challenges small business owners in Lagos face with mobile payment platforms, focusing on fee security and ease of use. Yeah. So you need to be very specific about what exactly the problem you're trying to solve. What exactly the problem you're trying to solve, and then you have to avoid vague goals, as I said here, like improve our platform. Like there's so many ways you could improve the platform. So you have to define exactly what your research objectives are. Then you identify what target users. You define who you're researching. So you um you have okay, small business owners in Lagos, age 20 to 50, age between 25 to 50 with varying tech skills or at least 1 year of experience using mobile money or POS systems. So you have to um refine your search, your targets to people that need that product. Basically, like, okay, these are the people we're trying to appeal to. So you have to reach out to those kind of people that you're trying to appeal to. You want to go and meet children in secondary school as your target users when you're trying to create a platform for small business owners because they have no reason to use your platform. So you have to identify your target users, like these are people you're targeting, and then reach out to those your target users. You define who you're researching basically. Then we have choose your research methods. You pick methods that fit your goals, your budget, and audience. For example, you use interviews and contextual, observing users in their shops for in-depth insight, and surveys to validate findings with more people. In actuality, you don't have to stick to one research method. You could pick either your qualitative method or your quantitative method, one of those, methods under that. Maybe if you want to interview people, you also have to think about how cost effective it is. Like, okay, will it be easier for me to just send out surveys? Will it be easier to send out surveys? Will it be easier for me to conduct interviews? And you have to basically, just as I said, you pick methods that fit your goals, budget, and audience. Then develop research materials. So create tools like interview guides with open-ended questions. So before you actually, maybe you've decided that okay, you want to go with this, the interview method. Yeah, you have to prepare your questions. You have the list of questions you want to ask. You just don't go in blindly. That okay, today you just wake up and say, okay, today I'm going to carry out my interview without having any questions on hand. It's going to be a fruitless venture. So you have to specify what questions you want, the questions you want to ask. So like, okay, what challenges do you face with payment? So you either do that, maybe have an interview or you're sending out surveys. You just have to have those your questions ready. So basically develop your research materials, whatever research method you're using, you have to develop the materials that you're using for that research method. Next, recruit your participants. So as I've said, you've identified your target users. So next is to go and look for these people. Look for the people that you're going to, either send your surveys to, or you're going to carry out your interviews with. Basically, you recruit your participants. Sometimes you might have to use incentives, airtime, gift cards, buy cook for them, buy food for them. Not all the time, not necessarily all the time, but sometimes. That's why as you remember, we said you have to choose your research methods that fit your goals and budget. So you don't have, if you don't have like incentives to give out, you have to find a cheaper research method that would be easier for people to carry out. Some people might not want to sit down to do an interview with them if you don't buy them cook or something. So, and then you also have to make sure that these people that you're recruiting fit the target users that you have identified. Then you conduct your research. You collect your data through interviews, observations, or surveys. You have to be respectful, clear, and culturally sensitive. Yeah, so you have to be very respectful, and then make sure that the questions you're asking are easy to understand, and culturally sensitive. Don't ask questions that you're not sure how will I put this. I'm trying to think of an example. Let's say cultural, I can't think of an example on my feed right now, but basically just be careful when you're asking so that you don't offend people, while carrying out your user interviews. So next you analyze your data, you look for patterns and insights. So example would be, identify common things like high fee, security concerns, or difficulty using the platform. Then you report your findings. People still there with me? Okay, because I'm just seeing someone left, so I have to be sure. Report your findings. So share your results clearly with visuals like charts, codes, photos. Focus on actionable insights. Example, recommend lower fees, offline options, let's tutorials, data security, stuff like that. So that's how I conduct your user research. So how do you analyze after you've carried out your research? How do you analyze it that you've gotten from your research? Have qualitative data analysis, quantitative data analysis. You have thematic analysis, basically reviewing interview transcripts, identifying recurring themes related to user needs, pain points, or motivations. So basically, I think I mentioned something like that. So basically, you group, as I said, recurring themes related to user needs, pain points, and motivation. So you have to just like, you get so many people have said lower fees. You group all those people that said okay, lower fees, or they need offline options to a fintech app. So you group all the responses that you've gotten together. Organizing and grouping data to review relationships and insights, then creating user persona. So basically, creating fictional representations of typical users based on research data. So, creating a user persona, basically after carrying out research, create a user persona that says, okay, this is the typical user we're trying to. This is the typical user we're trying to design this product for. These are their pain points. These are their pain points, these are their needs, these are their goals, this is what they're trying to achieve. To create a user persona that will help you understand the target audience. So since you've interviewed so many people, so you have to bring all that, and it doesn't have to be just one user persona. So you can create like 2 to 3 user personas to make it easier, since you've probably maybe sent surveys to multiple people, or you've created or you've interviewed quite a number of people. Yeah, so basically you create 1 to 3 user personas that will encompass all the people that you're trying to designed for. Then for quantitative data analysis, you have statistical analysis and data visualization. So for statistical, we use statistical methods to analyze survey data or analytics to identify trends, correlations, and significant findings. I think there's something similar to what I said. Using like Google Analytics, for instance. Okay, how long did this user spend on this particular page before they were able to move on? How many people actually visited this site? How many people said so thing? Like, okay, you've sent out a survey, for instance. Now, okay, so surveys, will I say they're quite, you send out a survey using Google Forms. Is it Google Forms? Yes, it's Google Forms. Google Forms even makes it very easy for you. Like once you send out your surveys and then people respond, you're able to see percentage of people that okay, this number of people pick these options or this number of people you get, so like statistical. Then creating charts and graphs to communicate findings effectively. So after you, and then that's also another method, like creating charts. Okay, how many people said this, how many people said that, and then the key steps, as I've said, you organize and categorize your data, you identify patterns. I've mentioned this before. Then you draw conclusions and make recommendations based on analysis. What changes should be made to the product or service or services. So you've done all that. Then now you just have to collaborate with your team to basically find out, okay, since we have a user persona or we have our chart. So what does this tell us? What does this tell us? Okay, so many people are complaining that when they're in an area of no network, they find it hard to use a mobile app. Okay, so should we create? So from this, that means more people are in need of an offline option that make it easy for them, something like that. So you okay, these are changes that you need to your own product or service. So you have to be specific about like the conclusion or the recommendations that you are making. So next we have brainstorming and collaboration. So I just know some we are going to because it's not a one man job, obviously. I'm going to work with a team. So you need to there are different tools to use. We have Miro, we have Dovetail, Trello, Google Workspace. I believe Google Workspace is the most popular tool that a lot of people use right now. Then Slack and WhatsApp, obviously. So Miro for brainstorming sessions, Dovetail for organizing, analyzing, sharing research data. Trello is a project management tool that a lot of teams make use of. Google Works, as I've said, is probably the most like popular, and then for collaborative document creation, data analysis, additional data. Where I said Google Forms, for instance, can use that as well. We also have Google Analytics, then presentation development. And then Slack and WhatsApp, obviously, for communication, shared updates, coordinating team activities. Then these are just a few of the tools that make brainstorming and collaboration easy. Then now speaking about user journey, so I stated the user journey is a visual representation of the steps a user takes to achieve a specific goal with your product or service. It maps out the user's experience from their initial trigger to their final outcome. Sorry, please give me a minute. So basically, as I was saying, they are use user journeys for visualizing and understanding the user experience. So basically, they would provide a step-by-step view of how a user interacts with your product to achieve a specific goal. So by creating a user journey map, you're able to identify your users' pain points. Also, you're able to understand their thoughts and also their emotions at each stage of that particular journey. And then you are able to use the information that you get from this to improve their user journey experience. So let me say, for example, someone trying to buy something online, let's say person trying to buy a shoe, for instance, they would have to go to the website, they have to add the items to their carts, they'll have to check out and then confirm their order. So at each step they have how they feel about each step of that journey. Yeah. So let's say, okay, you've seen a shoe that you're like, oh, I love this shoe so much. I'm adding it to my cart. But then adding it to cart is difficult. Or making payments, you have to go through so many let's say so many steps to make your payments. It's not straightforward. You could get frustrating at that point. So that's the essence of having a user journey map. Okay. This how the user goes from here, from point A to point B. How easy was it for them? Basically, I think I've said all these things before, but yes, that's what it means to carry out like accurate, user research, having a user journey map. So when you have this user journey map, you're able to empathize with your users better. And okay, they had issues with this checkout. How can we make this checkout experience easier for them? So as I said, key elements, user goals, steps and touch points. I've mentioned all this. Then you're able to identify user pain points, provide a shared understanding of the user experience across the team, facilitates user-centered design decisions. Those are the benefits and can be used to prioritize development efforts. So for this, can be used to prioritize development efforts. I'd say they're able to, okay, this is of more importance than the other. This is of more importance. Let's prioritize this. Okay, they're having issues, as I said, making payments. Let's prioritize this over maybe adding something to cart. So yeah. Then next we talk about information architecture, which is basically making information easy to find. Information architecture is basically the structure and organization of information within a product or website. It's about making it easy for users to find what they need, understand the information presented, and complete their tasks efficiently. So you have to map out, you have to, how do I say this? So it's basically making, let's say a flow chart of, okay, they come in from here, this is how they'll get to point A, this is how they'll get to point B. So you have to have an information architecture that makes it easy for you. So when you're designing that product, you're able to follow that information architecture. Okay, let me use a simple example of maybe you're trying to bake bread, for instance. You have to mix your dry ingredients before putting in your wet ingredients, before mixing everything, before kneading your dough and then putting it in the oven. So basically all those steps that you take one by one, you have to map it down, you have to structure it out for your users. So when they come to your website, they know exactly, okay, this is, you make it so intuitive for them that when they come to your website, they know, okay, if I click on this button, it takes me to this place and it's easy for them to complete their task. So the key principles of effective information architecture: clarity and consistency. So you have to use clear, concise, and consistent labels, terminology, and navigation elements. So you're designing a button, use a word that people are more conversant with. Okay, you want them, yeah, okay, you're on a website to make payment, for instance. Instead of saying proceed, instead of saying proceed on that button, you have to say, okay, or you say proceed to make payment, or even just make payment. You get, like, it's easier for them. They know the next thing to expect after seeing that button. Then logical structure, organize information in a way that makes sense to users based on their mental models and expectations. So I've said, as I've said, you organize the information so that they know that, okay, this is what is next, this is what I am doing here, and then when I want to move forward or when I want to go back, this is what to expect. So you cannot say, okay, someone came from the home page and then they entered the let's say they okay, from the home page they've added something to carts, they've gone from home page to their cart. So when they go back, you don't take them back to the page that they didn't come from. Do you get? You take them back to the home page. When they click on proceed to make payments, it's taking them to the payment options list, or it's taking them to the checkout screen. So when they want to go back from that checkout screen, it's not taking them to the home page, it is taking them back to the cart. So you have to organize your information in a logical way that is easy for the users. Then user-centered approach. They design the information architecture based on user needs and how they naturally think about the information. Conduct card sorting or tree testing to understand user mental models. So I think I've even already explained this. Based on user needs and how they naturally think about the information is very key. So anything you are doing, like I understand the need to, wanting to maybe think outside the box, but it's always better to maintain status quo and work with what the users are already used to. Navigation and labeling. Make it easy for users to navigate the product and find what they're using, what they're looking for. Use clear, descriptive labels for menus, links, and buttons. So make it easy for users to navigate the product. We already, what I said, when you open your phone, for instance, and you open an app, any app, yeah, we already have, like, say, this mental model of where the back button is supposed to be. Yeah. So when you are working on your navigation, your design, always make sure to um work in such a way that you are designing this product in such a way that the users will not have any issues locating certain things. Yeah, okay, already know this where the back button is. Don't go and put it somewhere that the users are not typically used to. Then search functionality, it's also very important in most products that people are working on, basically. So provide a robust and effective search function to allow users to quickly find specific information. Like a search functionality, I don't think I can underestimate how important having a search functionality in so many products will be. It's just easier to find things that way rather than having to scroll and scroll and scroll to find something when you can easily just search for it. So basically that's it. That's basically the key principles of information architecture. So in conclusion, we know that user research is not a luxury. Like it's not optional, basically. Like let's say it's not nice. It's not something like you say is nice to have, but it's something that you have to have. It is a necessity for you to build successful products. You have to carry out some sort of user research for your product to be successful. Understanding your user list to better design decisions, improve usability, and increase user satisfaction. Then investing in user research saves time and money in the long run, since you've already done your user research when you need to do it. So you don't like have to go all the way back to the beginning when you have to save you time, saves you money in case you know you'll be carrying out your user interviews, you have to pay some people, or like you've already built out your product, paid for APIs, paid for all this, and then at the end of the day, this product is not usable. You have to go back to the beginning. User centricity should be at the heart of every product development process. So anything at every single stage of your design development process, you always have to have the user in mind because you're designing for the user. You're not designing for yourself. You are designing for the user. So you always have to have them in mind. Your target user is like, okay, would this make things easier for them or will it complicate things further for them? So you always have to have them in mind. Then user research is an iterative process and should be conducted throughout the product life cycle. Like it's something that you won't say, okay, you've done this research and you're done with it. But I've already pushed out a product and then okay, you carry out your A/B testing and then okay, you see that okay, this particular feature that we've pushed is not exactly what the users need. Okay, how can I make it better for them? So it's an iterative process. It's not just something that you do once and you think you're done with it. You always have to try and improve on every single iteration that you work. You have to improve on it, make things easier. The end goal is just to make sure that you're making things easier for your target users. So that'll be the end of my presentation. If you have any questions, you can ask now. Answer. Thank you for listening. Is anyone with me here?
We are here. I'm here.
All right. So Sunday, you have your hand raised. What question do you want to ask?
All right, good evening, man. Thank you for this presentation and tonight's section. It was such an awesome one. All right, very quick one. I want to ask, like, all this research, and all this testing, are they going to be before the design of the app, or during the app, or after it has been developed, like the testing and this user research, or it will be a continuous process?
So yeah, I think I actually just said this. Well, that's actually a very good question. But I said this, user research is an iterative process. You have to start your research before you start designing. While you're designing, you still have to carry out different research methods that carry out design. So before you start designing, you carry out maybe user interviews, you carry out surveys, you get. Then okay, while you're in the design process, you can carry out A/B testing. For instance, you design two different versions of a design of a product. You design two different versions of a product. You carry out A/B testing to see how users react to that, and then you're able to find out, okay, this is more intuitive than the other, and then you go with one version. And then by the time it goes into development and like has been pushed live, you still have to make use of analytical tools. How long users stay on a particular page, how easy was it for them, even though you've carried out research, you found out their pain points, you carry out that research after a product has been pushed live, and then you're able to get data. You take that data with your team and say, okay, these are still the issues that these users are having at this particular time. How can we make it easy for them? So basically, it's an iterative process which doesn't just stop at one point to another. It's something that you do throughout the product life cycle. Does that answer your question, Sunday?
Yes, it does, ma'am.
All right, thank you for that question. Does any other person have any other questions to ask? I'll take that as a no, since nobody saying anything right now. So I also still have I have some articles that I've gathered for further reading for you to gain better information, because obviously I cannot give everything on this particular call, but I've curated a list of some some articles that will be useful for you in understanding user research and analysis. So I'll be sharing this slide on the WhatsApp group, and I think that'll be the end of today's session. Obviously, if you have any questions to ask concerning this, you can always text me on WhatsApp and I will answer your questions. So thank you very much for attending this session. So have a good night. Meet some other time. Good night, guys.
Good night. Bye.
Good night. Thank you so much for the training.